Every time someone buys a DSLR through one of my affiliate links, I earn about $50, $40 in commission. So I'd be pretty dumb to tell you that you don't really need one. But the thing is, you don't really need one. There's some arguments out there that to shoot professional video, you need a professional camera. And I'm going to debunk a few of those. Are you ready?
People who argue that you need a DSLR or Blackmagic camera to shoot a professional-looking movie often claim those shot on iPhone videos are not just the iPhone. They have a whole crew and extra kit. Well, yes, quite often they do. So doesn't that actually debunk their own claim? If it's about professional lighting and professional crew, then logically, it's not about the camera. And this professional kit and crew is often out of the reach of us low-budget filmmakers. So what is their point? The point they are unintentionally making is that filmmaking is about skills over everything else, and not the camera. And what is the best way to learn those skills? Well, by practicing, of course. Does buying a DSLR enable you to practice more? Not really. Perhaps even less, because you don't always have it with you. With a smartphone and an app like Filmic Pro, I can grab some filmmaking practice on the spur of the moment. If I see something inspiring, it's right there. I don't have to run home and grab my professional camera. If we agree that having a large sensor and a wide dynamic range is the key to great cinema, then that destroys about 100 years of cinema history. Film stocks that have been used up until about the 1990s or even later had less dynamic range than your current iPhone sensor. That means films like The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Star Wars, Citizen Kane, and many others are bad films because they were shot with film stock we would now consider low quality.
Why doesn't my video look as good as The Godfather then?
Well, glad you asked, because thing is, you're not controlling the lighting to the extent they did, or because you haven't learned the skills yet. Of course, we also can't ignore the look prime lenses give to The Godfather. And by the way, the 35mm Super Baltar prime lenses used to shoot The Godfather are quoted for hire in London at £260 a day. And the fact is, your iPhone plus the Baltar primes using an adapter of some kind will probably look more like The Godfather than a DSLR and £100 lens. The point here is that most of us cannot afford those lenses. We can't afford a lighting crew, and we can't afford a big lighting rig.
I can buy a DSLR cheaper than your $1,300 iPhone.
Well, yes, this can be true. If you only bought your smartphone to shoot video with. But who does that? Nobody. Why do you have a smartphone? Most likely because you want or need one for everyday life. Like me, you probably use it for surfing the web, banking, emails, social media, watching movies, and actually quite a lot more. There's a good chance that right now you're watching this video on your smartphone. Hands up who's watching this on your DSLR. Yeah. Thought not. So you can't watch videos on your DSLR, you can't post to Facebook or Instagram with it? I guess you're going to have to buy a smartphone. Of course, nearly all of us have a smartphone already, so in a sense, it's a free cinema camera. You may end up spending a bit more because you want the extra camera features. You might spend, say, an extra $500. That means a DSLR and lens setup has to come in at less than $500 to work out cheaper.
I can get you a good second-hand DSLR for less than $500.
Well, I mean, of course you can also get a smartphone second-hand. A second-hand iPhone 8 Plus will cost you about £250. Thing is, it doesn't stop there. Once you have a DSLR, if you want a gimbal as well, it will be bigger and more expensive. If you want a tripod, bigger, more expensive. Anamorphic adapter, bigger, more expensive. And a Blackmagic setup is going to set you back even more. To quote No Film School from their blog, the bummer about that is that all of the excitement of buying a crazy, inexpensive 6K camera kind of dissipates quickly when you see the real cost of outfitting it to withstand the demands of a professional shoot. And what's really important is this: even if you had this great Blackmagic setup, you still need lights. You still need knowledge. In fact, you're going to need more knowledge. as a Blackmagic setup is somewhat more complicated to use than a smartphone. The question is, are you really going to learn filmmaking quicker using this kit? You know, the fact that time equals money cannot be ignored either. Even if a DSLR turned out to be the same cost as a smartphone, it's not, but just say it was, ask yourself which device is quicker to film with. If you can shoot something quicker with a smartphone, then you're saving money. How much value do you place on your time? $10 an hour? $20? $50? And, what is it that actually stops you making movies anyway? My bet is one of the most common reasons is we can't afford the time. And also, what if your client can't afford to pay you for all that time? Well, if you reduce the time you spend filming and editing, you can bring your budget down to fit a whole new client base. So then, can we shoot a movie on a smartphone? The short answer is yes, of course. And the long answer is, well, it depends. So let's look into this. Really, the question is not can you, but should you? And the answer depends on you, the film, and what you hope to achieve with it. If you're hoping to shoot a feature film and sell it to Netflix, like Steven Soderbergh, you're probably going to be out of luck. The fact is, since Soderbergh shot High Flying Bird for Netflix, there hasn't been a huge deluge of Netflix productions using smartphones. We shot a sci-fi series using smartphones and it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's even earned a few thousand and had views in the hundreds of thousands. But it's relatively easy to get your movies onto Amazon Prime using Video Direct. Amazon's Video Direct is a platform which allows any user to upload content. However, they recently stopped allowing one-off short films and non-fiction content. So fiction series and feature films are still okay. Realistically, Video Direct is not going to make us rich, but still, it's a platform which allows you to get your work in front of an audience. And if shooting on a smartphone enables you to finish your Amazon Video Direct project, then great. But I can't stress this enough. It's not just as simple as buying a different camera and all of a sudden your videos are going to look like a professional Netflix series. I mean, that notion is just completely absurd. There's so many other factors that go into creating professional moving pictures. If it was just as simple as buying a camera, Hollywood would just be a big warehouse full of cameras. J.J. Abrams would just go to his pitch meeting at Disney and say, "I've got a new camera and it shoots 12K," and Disney would give him $200 million. No questions asked. So when you ask, should I shoot a movie on a smartphone? First, you need to check your expectations. Where do you see your movie finding its home? If it's Netflix, then almost certainly no. If it's a theatrical distribution, again, almost certainly no. If it's for a festival, then I would say the major festivals might be prejudiced against your smartphone shot movie. Truth is, most big festivals choose their feature films from pre-selection and not from cold submissions. With our festival though, I can guarantee every single film gets watched by both me and Andrea. Second, I would ask, what is it that best enables you to make your movie? The people that are going, I just need this better camera and this better light and this better editing setup and I just need this and this and it just goes on. And quite often, they never actually get to shoot anything. So the most important factor here is what gets you inspired to shoot something, get creative and actually finish your project. Making a video that people want to watch is not about the size of your camera's sensor. I promise you that. Now, try getting this shot with your 6K Blackmagic. I shot this with a DJI OM4 gimbal, a monopod, and an iPhone 12 Pro Max. What would it take to get this shot with a Blackmagic? Well, unless you have superhuman strength, you probably won't get this shot by mounting a Blackmagic to a gimbal and a monopod. You're gonna need a proper crane. Then you'll need a couple of crew in high-vis jackets to make sure the crane isn't a danger to the public. Oh, and probably someone to operate the crane while you operate the camera. And I don't have a car, so I'll need to hire one so I can get this crane to the location. And you know what? Parking in central London, it's not cheap. Of course, I can't just set up a crane here. I will need permission from a local authority. And you know what? They won't give me a filming permit unless I have public liability insurance. Now it's going to take me maybe 2 or 3 hours to set up this shot and get it right. So to get this shot, I will have to spend, that's like an extra $1,200 or more. Oh, coincidentally, the cost of an iPhone 12 Pro Max is about $1,200 if you take away the tax. And try getting this shot using your Blackmagic setup. Well, you won't, again, unless you get permission to film in the London Underground. And that kind of permission is reserved for big budget movies, as they're the only ones who can afford it. If you had a small DSLR, you might get away with both these shots, but it's not guaranteed. When you're shooting with a smartphone, it's very unlikely you will be asked to stop filming in public spaces, simply because with the number of smartphones around, it would be a futile task. Again, this comes down to how things escalate once you jump on the "I just need one more bit of kit" carousel. It's not just as simple as getting a better camera. That camera comes with plenty of downsides for those who don't have the resources for a fully crewed and kitted film shoot. I've been in many meetings with producers, production companies, festival directors, film distributors, and no one has ever spoken to me about cameras. Not once. We always talk about the script, budget, and key cast, and maybe a general discussion over the vision of the look of the film. The only person in the film industry you will talk to about cameras is the DOP or camera operator. Nobody else cares. Of course, every DOP has their preferred camera and setup, but it's very often not just about having the most powerful. It's nearly always about which device enables the most creativity. Okay, so there's 3 basic principles to cinematography, and these are the core skills which supersede everything else. Here's a clue. It's not your camera's sensor, your lenses, and so on. The 3 core skills you need are lighting, framing, and camera movement. There's no affiliate links for you to click, which is going to get you those things. Camera companies can't really sell you this stuff. You have to learn it by practice. You can learn by doing courses. Sure, why not? But you can also learn for free by using this camera you have in your pocket. Practice, get better, and don't worry about the equipment. Use whatever enables you to do your best work. And that's often the camera you are most familiar with, that you feel most comfortable and confident using. Ultimately, you cannot beat a smartphone for ease of use, convenience, budget, flexibility, and versatility that a DSLR will never be able to match. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it interesting and thought-provoking, and I'll see you in the next video.